And now for part two. We are still on May 3rd. We are still talking about photos where I have no video associated with it in any way, but I still wanted to share the photos and kind of talk through them. This was the last thing that we left off on in the morning. I then went and got some lunch and went for the afternoon. Let me find my point where I jump over the first photo I take. I get there a little bit early. Um, One of the guys I know pretty well at this point and have been going with, he's very good, very experienced, is there, and we're sitting by the water, waiting for the event to start. We hear a noise. A noise that we didn't expect to hear for sure. I didn't. And when he went, "What is that?" that cued me in because he's been doing this a very long time and very knowledgeable and knows a lot of the birds, and especially a good bit by ear. And we didn't know what that was either. And then we look out and we see it calling. It's the pied-billed grebe. It's not the best photo of it. It's pretty far away where it's at, but I wish I had the recording of it, the sound, because that, like, I wasn't quick enough to get Merlin out and start recording or anything to know what it was. I grabbed for the camera first and I took pictures of it where you can see the pied bill part of the grebe, which still probably, it might be the best photo I've taken of a pied bill grebe so far, which is disappointing, but it means I've got something to work towards. I'll have to check back through my others to see, but really cool. When it cued in, he didn't know what the sound was. I went, "Oh, what is that?" And although it's not the most, rare bird or anything, it's certainly not common to hear them calling it anyway. So I thought that was really neat. Um, we ignore that. So then we go on a little bit, and there has been something else that people are talking about this day, and that is the great egret. Um, Not one that you see very often, enough that other people were going, "Oh, hey, when you go up to this as part of your route and you get to this lake, you hopefully will see it." I just saw it like on my drive in. I stopped by, I looked out the window and I saw it there. Like, okay, that's really cool. So the great egret was out there walking around looking. I like this one here in particular because we get, the great egret, a cormorant, and a swallow all kind of clumped up right together in the middle of this. I thought that was pretty neat. Not one you get very often. And then, so the egret's out there. This, I think I have seen a great egret before, but only when I was in Florida. So you're talking about 7 years ago. This would be the first time I've seen it since. And obviously, when I started 7 years ago, my cameras were not exactly the top quality, because of course not. I was just starting out. So the photos I have aren't exactly ideal, but I've got better cameras and better lenses, especially the lens. I've got a good bit of zoom on this and zoomed all the way in here and looking at it, I did not know or realize they've got green around their eye. This is the first time that seeing it out here, we could, see that. That's cool. I didn't know that. And then it did a thing where it grabbed a fish. I don't show too many. I don't know if it's technically gory with the fish, but I think it speared the fish first and then started working on swallowing it down. So there's a couple of shots here. The fish seems to be missing its head, maybe. So I think it did that first, then grabbed it, tossed it around a little bit, and then went to take it down. Um, I tossed it and caught it a few times too, but that wasn't the only thing that was out here. There was another. Did I get a photo of both of them together? I don't think I did. I think I missed that. Well, no, wait. Obviously, not the most exciting. It was pretty cloudy this day too. By that point, the morning it had a light bit of clouds, if I remember correctly. Later in the day, it had clouded up significantly, so we had some darker photos going on here. But the herons were out there as well, just right next to the great egrets. Very cool. The heron at one point grabs a shockingly large fish for that size, enough that people around me audibly gasped as we are watching through our binoculars and I'm taking pictures. I missed it grabbing it at first, and then it just like had this fish that everyone went, there's no way, you gotta let that one go. You're not gonna be able to. And boy, did it prove us wrong. It just took it, put it straight down his throat. The only thing it needed to do to get it all the way down was dip down a few times and get some water into there. And yeah, it just swallowed this massive fish. I had no idea. Let's see. Two other things I learned while I was out there today. Specifically, the pelicans. I knew that they grow these nodules on their bills, but I did not know, and I thought this too, that it's not just the males that do that. The females will also grow that. It's just whether or not they're breeding. So we don't know male or female. As far as I understand it, that was a thing that, was a misidentification or a misnomer. It was wrong. It was just wrong. They grow the nodules simply if they are mating, male or female, regardless. They will grow that. So we just have a non-mating and a mating one here, which is cool, and also pretty decent detail on them. Again, not exactly the sharpest it could be, given the fact that it was so cloudy, but I didn't know that. And then I finish up the day. When we get back, we're done. And we talk to the other groups because it's pretty large, the second one. And so they get split up. Excuse me. Oh. We get back and we start talking to some of the other guys, right? And, other people who were there and what they saw on their trip, since we went to a different area from here. And somebody mentions an owl, that they saw an owl, which could still be there, not too far. Go around here, be cautious, be, subtle about it. But if you come around here and look down this path and about halfway down, start looking in the trees, I do exactly that. And I'm looking. I'm like, I don't know, not seeing anything. And then there, sleeping on a branch, is a great horned owl, which is really cool. Only the second time I think I've ever seen one. It was just brand new to me a month or two ago. I took a couple of photos. There were other people on the trail, so I kind of waited for them to go. So I wasn't drawing too much attention to it because it was right next to the trail and very clearly asleep at, gosh, this is like 4 in the afternoon at this point. But it was like right there. You could see. I took some photos as best I can. I think these are probably the best photos I can get of an owl sleeping because obviously they tuck themselves back into there where they're pretty well covered up with, leaves and things like that. Like I think it would be quite unusual to have a clear shot into there, but it's possible probably. I have seen other photographers, much better photographers, who are able to do that. And here's the thing I learned about it. It bowed its head down, but I did not realize. I think about a lot of birds of prey specifically, and a lot of raptors and things like that will kill other birds. And I don't, for whatever reason, I guess I never considered their feet very much. And you can see the talons, but what I did not know until this point, where I was looking at these photos back, that they have furry feet. That totally makes sense, and I just never considered it. But yeah, the owl, at least this owl, not all owls, I don't think, but this owl, and I'm sure there are others, they've got their talons, all the way down, but their feet are not just that flesh that's there. They're not. They are actually covered, and that probably helps them with insulation, being quiet. Maybe, I don't know. I've never thought about it. I've never considered it. I don't know of any other birds that have furry feet off the top of my head. I'm sure there are some, but yeah, their feet are covered in feathers, and I didn't realize that until now. So not only did I see one that I technically have seen before, but this is only the second time I've seen one, and an owl sighting is rare. It is not something you see every day. I only would have seen this because I was told by the other birders out there, and I learned by taking pictures of it here about their feet. So I think that was pretty cool. And there we go. That's the story of the day for the part 2. And then I went home, and I was very tired, and I went to bed early. Because I walked a lot this day. That's the other thing about it. Saturday's still a normal day, so I'll wind up walking a good couple of miles, and then this day here is more like a lot. I think it was like 8 miles that day. That day in particular, we did a good bit of walking, and I kept going in order to see this, and in between trip 1 and trip 2. I think that's the most I've walked in a single day before. My legs were tired. Worth it, though. All right. Bye, everybody.